Hey everybody, so now I want to tell you a little bit about Git and GitHub, which is how you're going to be submitting your coding assignments for this class. So Git is basically a web-based platform that provides a version control system for software development projects, and that version control system is Git. So the basic idea here is that software developers can post all of their code to GitHub, and then in a repository, also known as a repo, and then they can manipulate various aspects of the code, make improvements to it, and then merge it back into the main body of code with a pull, something that's called a pull request. So in this class, we're not going to be concerned so much with collaboration or pull requests. We're mostly just going to be focused on getting the hang of cloning a repository, making changes to the code, and then pushing it back to GitHub, to the repo. And that can be valuable even independent of some sort of collaboration for a couple of reasons. First, version control's good if you want to go back to an earlier version of the code, or if you want to see how the code has progressed over time. Second, having a GitHub profile and having your repos on GitHub can be a good advertisement for your work and your capabilities as a coder, as a programmer. It's basically your portfolio of projects. So, for example, this is Hadley Wickham's GitHub profile. Hadley Wickham is the chief data scientist at Posit. He's the guy who basically came up with the idea of the tidyverse and all of the tidyverse packages that we're working with in the class. This term. So you can go to his GitHub profile. You can look at. He has 324 repositories. He has the ones that he is most well known for pinned here on the overview, and so you can go in here to look at, say, for example, the code for ggplot2, and there you can also see who's collaborating on that. There are 289 contributors to ggplot2, and if you go through these files, you can see the R code that is, that makes up ggplot2. So similarly, you can have a GitHub profile just like this, and you're going to set up a GitHub account if you don't already have one, and then from there you're going to learn how to use it. Let's see, what else did I want to say? Oh yes, another good use for GitHub is if you are working with Quarto. A specific use for R and Quarto is if you have a website, like a Quarto website, like my course website, then what you can do is you can push your code to a GitHub repo associated with that website, train Netlify onto that GitHub repo, and then automatically the website will update. And that's basically how my course website functions. So if you go to, so this is the repo for this, for the website for this course, actually. So this is all the code that makes up the website for this course, and then this gets pushed automatically every time I update the website in RStudio and push the changes to the repo. It gets updated and then sent to Netlify, which publishes the website. If you're ever curious about the code for one of the pages for this class, by the way, you can click on this link here, edit this page, and if you want to suggest some edits, you can. But just if you're curious in one of the modules, like how the page was written in Markdown, and you have some questions about that, or just curious from time to time, you can see the code for the website. Okay, so that's sort of an aside. So what I want to tell you now, getting back on track here, let's focus on what you need to do to submit your assignments. Okay. So I have some instructions on the course website. Let me go back to the course website here. So if you go to the Getting Started section and you scroll down to the bottom, the section on Git and GitHub, basically the first thing you're going to do is you're going to register a GitHub account. So there's some instructions here of how to register a GitHub account. Basically, you just go to the GitHub website and you sign up for one if you don't already have one. But there's some nice tips here on how to choose a username and that type of thing that you might want to read. Next thing you want to do once you have a GitHub account is to install Git and then initiate it using the use this package inside of and you would do that inside of RStudio in the console. So here are some instructions from Happy Git with R, or it's called, I'm sorry, the name of the book is Happy Git and GitHub for the User. Basically, there's instructions here for Windows and instructions here for Mac users. For Windows, it's pretty simple. You just go to this page here and you download Git for Windows. For Mac, there are a number of options that are listed, but the best option I think for you guys is going to be option 2. That's the simplest one. Just follow this link and download Git for Mac OS. Okay. Then once you have Git installed, you want to initiate it inside of R using the use this package. So first, go ahead and install use this, and this is the code for installing use this. And then initiate it, and the initiation, the instructions are here, but they're fairly simple. You just want to run this line of code here, use git, use_git_config, substituting your name and your email address for Jane Doe's. Okay. Next step from there is going to be to set up a personal access token, and you do that by typing create_GitHub_token, and that is also associated with the use this package. That's a use this function. So if you have use this loaded, then that will work, and which you should already have loaded by that point. And then you're going to set your credentials using the Git creds package. So you want to install that package, install.packages, Git creds, then load the package, and then you're going to type git creds_git to see whether you already have credentials set up. I'm guessing you don't, but maybe you do and maybe they work, in which case you don't want to change them. And then from there, assuming you don't have credentials set up or you have ones that you want to change, then the next command is git creds_set. And then you're going to enter your username and your password here, and your password is going to be that personal access token that you just generated. Okay. And I would do a code along on this for you, but I already have all this stuff installed, so it wouldn't make sense for me to sort of repeat it all. So hopefully I've given some good instructions here that you can follow, but if you have any questions, just message me in the Discord and I'll try to help you out. So now once you have all of this set up, you can create a GitHub repo, and then you can clone that repo onto your machine and work with it in RStudio. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do next. And the example we're going to use here, this is sort of a generalizable thing beyond this course that you can do, but the way we're going to be working with this, tool is to clone repos from GitHub Classroom that we've set up for you that have the weekly coding assignments. Okay. Or the coding assignments for each module. All right, so let's go to Blackboard, And for Blackboard, what you're going to do is you're going to click on this accept invitation for assignment 1 via GitHub Classroom. And assuming you're logged into your GitHub account, it's going to create this repo for you. So let's go ahead and click on that. Okay, let me re-accept it. Something happened there, probably because I was messing around with it earlier. Okay, we're going to accept the assignment. Now it's going to tell you that it's doing something, and then you may have to refresh the page. Okay, so now it says our assignment's ready to go, and so we can just go ahead and follow that link. All right, so so basically you're going to see the markdown for the assignment here appear in the README. But what you want to do is you want to clone this repo. And the way you're going to do that is you're going to copy, you're going to select code. You're going to copy this link here. Okay, and then you're going to go into RStudio. Okay, and then from there you're going to select new project. And then you're going to select version control. Okay, and then Git. Okay, then you want to think about where you're gonna save this repo, where it's gonna be, where it's gonna live on your machine. Okay, so I have on my desktop, just for, normally I wouldn't put this on my desktop, but just for the purposes of demonstration, I have a folder called Data Viz 2102, and then I have a folder called Assignments. So I'm going to select that, and then I'm going to put in the repository URL, and you can see it automatically names the project directory for me. Then I hit Create Project. Okay, and now we've switched into the new project, and you can see this is on Desktop, and then Data Viz 2102, and then Assignments, and then within Assignments I have this Assignment 1 Title Bomb folder with an .rproj file that's going to organize everything in this folder, right? So this is just like any other project folder, except it has GitHub version control, right? So then what we can do, what you're going to do for your assignment is you're going to open it up. You're going to open up the Quarto document, and you're going to add some code. So let's just say that this says to, to select some variables from, and I'm not going to give the answer here, but to select some variables from the VDEM data set and to store them in an object. So we'll call this VDEM variables, and maybe we want to load VDEM. Maybe we want to load dplyr, and then we have our our call for, it should be VDEM data, sorry. And then we have our call for the VDEM data set, and then of course we have to select variables, so we're going to use the dplyr select verb, and then we're going to select year, we're going to select country name, and we're going to select v2 x polyarchy, I believe is the name for the polyarchy variable, just doing this off the top of my head. And then maybe we want to filter that for a certain number of years, so we'll say year greater than 1990 or something like that, and then we can run that. Okay, and then we can just look at the data real quick, make sure everything looks good. Okay, looks good. Lots of countries, lots of years, and V2X polyarchy is there. But of course, you're not supposed to use V2X polyarchy for this assignment. You're supposed to use other variables, so that's why I'm using that as an example. Okay, and then you're going to do step 2, and then you're going to do step 3, and then you're going to do step 4, and then you're going to write a paragraph explaining, how your findings relate to Norris. So now I'm going to write paragraph explaining how my findings relate to the reading. And then I'm going to write a paragraph explaining how my findings relate to the reading. And then I'm going to write a paragraph explaining how my findings relate to the reading. And then I'm going to write a paragraph explaining how my findings relate to the reading. And then I'm going to write a paragraph explaining how my findings relate to the reading. And then I'm going to write a paragraph explaining how my findings relate to the reading. And then I'm going to write a paragraph explaining how my findings relate to the reading. And then I'm going to write a paragraph explaining how my findings relate to the reading. And then I'm going to write a paragraph explaining how my findings relate to the reading. And then I'm going to write a paragraph explaining how my findings relate to the reading. And then I'm going to write a paragraph explaining how my findings relate to the reading. And then I'm going to write a paragraph explaining how my findings relate to the reading. And then I'm going to write a paragraph explaining how my findings relate to the reading. And then I'm going to write a paragrap etc. And I know you're going to come up with something better than that. And then you're going to render the document, okay? And you're going to render it as HTML. Okay, and now we can see it has rendered. Okay, and it should show up in our favorite viewer here. Let's see. Yep, there we go. So now we can see the code that we entered there, and we can see our like half-written paragraph or not even half-written paragraph. Okay, but now let's pretend that we've finished everything and we want to submit it. What do we do? Okay, so from there you're going to go to the GitHub tab to submit it, and you're going to hit on this commit button here. And then what I do is I hit Shift and then the down button, or you could select each of these boxes independently, and then press Stage. Okay, and that's going to stage the files and get them ready to commit. And then you're going to see all of these other, you know, files appear, and every box is going to be checked, and that's good. And then you write a commit message like initial commit assignment 1, okay? And then you press commit, okay? All right, and now those files are committed, and it says here your branch is ahead of the origin/main by 1 commit, which means you need to push your changes now to GitHub to sync the changes on your local machine with GitHub. So you're going to update what's on GitHub in the repo with what you've done on your local machine. So go ahead and push it. There's also a push button down here that you can use. All right. And now what we should see is in our GitHub repo, if we go back to our GitHub assignment repo, the initial one that we downloaded the link from, and we update it, we should now see our updated changes, okay? And now from there, if we wanted to go and we wanted to make more changes, we could go ahead and say, you know, but Professor T, I really didn't understand part step 3. Geez, that was hard. Okay, and then we can go ahead and render that again. Okay, and now we can see that we have some additional, that the two documents that changed are listed here in Git as being modified, right? Assignment1.html and assignment1.qmd, because we're rendering the QMD as an HTML file, right? So then we can go back to commit. There we go. Oh yes, and so we check them, so they're staged. So now we can write our commit message. Note to Prof T, added to step 5. Usually you want to keep these, you know, pretty short, but also informative. All right. Then we commit it. And then now we have our branch ahead of the origin/main by 1 commit again. So we hit push, and now everything's updated. And if we go back to our GitHub repo and we update that, then we can see that these two files were just updated again with the new message, note to Prof T, added to step 5. Okay, and then what I'll be able to do is to go ahead and, you know, view your file in the context of GitHub Classroom, and then comment on it. And then when you get feedback from me, it'll look something like this. You know, I'll write comment on your code. Like here, this student didn't put his name on the assignment. Here I offered some, and this is a mock example, but I offered some sample code that he might want to incorporate, or he might have wanted to incorporate in the assignment. And then an overall comment, good job overall, Ricky, only you didn't write any code. And then Ricky responds, LOL. Okay. So that's basically what this is going to look like, and how I'm going to be commenting on your coding assignments. And hopefully you learned something about Git and GitHub through the course of the semester through this exercise. Looking forward to seeing your first assignments in GitHub.